Welcome to Darker Things. This series that dives into the chilling depths of history's most disturbed events and personalities. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Darker Things. I'm your host, Doug Duncan. As always, here to remind you that once you enter the dark, you may never be the same. Now, in our last episode, we brought to you all the madness that was coming in. Reports of Koresh sleeping with girls, reports of him dissolving marriages, reports of him having multiple wives, and then the ATF intercepting a order of munitions or guns or something to help modify guns. And that brought Koresh under the attention of the ATF and the FBI. Certainly now they thought they were dealing with somebody who was suspect. Now, where were they getting the information other than that intercepted package? Well, turns out that someone that David Koresh had kicked out of the Branch Davidians and off the compound, named Mark Moreau, had actually tried to put himself forward as the leader. David had to squash that. He did a good job of squashing it too. Kicked him off. But Moreau, out of anger, was the one making the phone calls, saying that there was elephant guns and anti-missile artillery and light advanced weapons and machine guns, and he was the one even talking about the child abuse. Now, the ATF even used the claims of child abuse as a means to get the judge to allow them to have a order for the siege where forced entry. But the ATF isn't supposed to regulate child abuse. That's supposed to be the CPS, Child Protective Services. So that in itself is suspect. Now, Moreau also said that there was a meth factory on the compound. Now, it was kind of true in that there had been one back when George Roden had taken over and allowed some people to live on the land. But then once George Roden was gone and Koresh took over that compound, the meth lab on the compound, Koresh had authorities come and dismantle it and take it away. So if the ATF had done its homework, they would have already known that Koresh had already dismantled that lab and had been forthwith about it. However, that wouldn't fit their narrative. So maybe they did know, but that wouldn't fit their narrative. The ATF now was going to be hell-bent on going in by force. Because who was this guy to have these munitions and these modified weapons? We can't have another Ruby Ridge. Oh, no, no, no. And so, we find ourselves at a crossroads. Situations like this, the government is telling us one thing. They're getting their hands from a disgruntled former member, someone who actually tried to take over the Branch Davidians. There's some suspicious stuff there, something that warrants our attention. Now, according to Koresh, the Branch Davidians, they were simply getting the guns for self-defense, as well as to sell legitimate guns at gun shows as a means of providing an income, a stream of income to the Branch Davidians and the compound. I mean, it's going to take a significant amount of money to support the number of people living there at Mount Carmel. Now, here's the thing though. David Koresh now taking on multiple wives, some of them as young as 13. That's suspicious. That would warrant attention, but CPS was never able to prove it. It was reported. In addition to that, the drugs, that would have been the Drug Enforcement Agency who should have been involved and not the American Tobacco and Firearms. So again, they're overreaching. Now, when the ATF is supposed to, or any legal entity for that matter, is supposed to be using reports of something as a means to request for a warrant, there's usually a timeline. In this particular case, it would have been 6 months. Now, 6 months had passed. So that means the information they were using, this information that was reported by George Perot, had been older than 6 months. It shouldn't have been even be able to be substantiated. I mean, cut it out. Non-gratis. Can't use it. Should have been denied. But the warrant went forward, at least first as a knock warrant. Now, for us to continue to look at this, let's just rewind a little bit for this video. I'm going to stop talking. We're going to let imagery tell the rest of the story. And you can listen to David Koresh talk about the madman in Waco. But that's when he was talking about Roden. Remember George Roden, Lois Roden's son, the heir apparent to become the prophet, who David kind of usurped his power? The one who challenged Koresh to, let's see who we can bring to life, a dead body, and exhume it and bring it back to life. Remember? And he wound up going to the crazy farm. The same man who Koresh and some of his followers had actually attempted to force off the land with guns. And then they went to trial, but were exonerated, and he went to the state hospital. Yeah. Let's watch all of that, in addition to this Baroque guy talking about firearms and what leads up to the siege. David Koresh is now talking about Roden and possibly even himself. And this song called There's a Mad Man Living in Waco. Hello. Question. That was a lot to take in visually, right? Now, over 900 people in total by the end of the siege, which was at the time the longest siege in US history, showed up. 900 people for a knock warrant? And why, if this was just to serve a warrant or to, see if the arms were there and to arrest David Koresh, did the ATF do military training with the military at Fort Hood just 3 days prior? Also, any gas that you put, no matter how mildly ignitable it might be, when you put it in a building that isn't going to dissipate the gas, you put lined ammunition in there, what are you going to get? An explosion. But we're going to wrap this all up in the next episode. Thanks for joining us. Please consider giving us a like, a subscription, a comment, or a follow. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Doug Duncan, reminding you that once you enter the dark, you may never be the same.